And we're back with some more oxygen not included on Oasis. And we've got a lot of work done. We've got the whole map pretty much cored out. I think this is the only natural piece of occurring scenery left on the map. I'm quite okay with that. The less natural resources left lying about the place, the better. Now, our rocket, second steam rocket has returned. We now should have enough research points to hammer out hydrocarbon combustion. And because of that, we don't need the steam rocket anymore. Also, the pipe started to crack while the rocket was away, namely because the steam condenses in the pipes. I don't mind. I wasn't going to be keeping this around much longer anyway, so we'll just get rid of those pipings anyway. Also, this petroleum down here is perfect. That's going to act as a heat sink for our next source of fueling, which is going to be oxylite and petroleum. So the petroleum can power our rockets, and the oxide can dump its heat into it. It's a little nice relationship we're going to set up. But there's also several other things I need to do first, because I've been putting too many things on the long finger. Firstly, I've got 29 duplicants, and my base only has one Rodriguez supporting it, which supports about 29 duplicants, so I need to put in a second electrolyzer setup. I'll throw that in pretty quickly off screen, but it's just going to be the same thing. However, the hydrogen from this, I'm going to start siphoning up to space. Same with this, I'm going to start sending all the hydrogen from this, the original one, also up to space. It's going to require me to break open some of the rooms, but that's fine. That hydrogen needs to go up to the rocketry program. Now, this is where the hydrogen is currently being stored. I'm going to add in more. The only reason for this roof is to stop regolith falling on it. You don't want any regolith hitting these things. They have a tendency to overheat quite a bit. Anyway, I'll skip this forward until I've got the oxygen done and we're ready to start going into petroleum. In truly normal fashion, I got completely distracted. It took me far too long to get around to what I wanted doing, so I installed that second electrolyzer setup. Of course, once I had it installed, I did need to put in some atmosuit docks for it, so I stuck in another 30 atmosuit docks. But at the same time, I couldn't just, hook them up higgledy-piggledy, so I had to redo all the oxygen piping in the base as well. So we've skipped forward about 30 cycles in time as I went in and did all of that work just because I wanted to support a few more duplicants. Duplicant-wise, we're up to quite a few. I'll get around to naming them later. I'm still waiting on the results of the naming that was going on in the previous video, but I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 8 astronaut duplicants. I don't know why I chose 8 already, but that's the way it goes. So all of that is done. It is time to go back and start doing petroleum now. So first thing we want to do is demolish all of this. Gas piping's gone. All we want to do is get rid of this entire section. Oh yeah, we're just going to let that steam vanish. We don't really care about it. Though I probably should have sealed that up first. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. All we're doing here is we're just sticking in a quick Oxylite refinery. This is a temporary setup. You're only going to be on petroleum for just a short while. The reason being, once you research, oh great, once you research, where is it? Solid cargo and cryofuel combustion, you're out of there. You'll be straight onto liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, and you won't need the oxalate anymore. Well, you'll be onto liquid oxygen at least. You might still use petroleum. To get that though, you're going to need, well, 800, 910. So you're going to need 1,000 research points, which means we need to hit up several more planets. Luckily, the petroleum will allow us to do that. Oh, and you'll notice here I've only got 19 research points into solid cargo. I'm missing one, even though I should have 20 points. Rounding errors. That's why we had to send 6 research modules instead of 5. Very, very important. If you ever send 5 and send 2 of those rockets and then it comes back and you're missing one, you were warned. Anyway, I'm just going to do this up here. It's going to be a very quick build. It's not going to be too permanent, and realistically, we don't care too much. This is just a temporary little build. An oxide refinery requires 2 things to work. One is oxygen, which was very easy to acquire because we built a Rodriguez right over here. I just broke off one of the 3 oxygen lines we've got going. It can't consume any more than a kilo. I think it's even less than that. If we look up refinement, requirement 600 grams of oxygen a second, 3,000 milligrams or 3 grams? I don't know, a tiny amount of gold anyway, and a fair chunk of power. But this should allow us to make a decent amount of oxalate in a short period of time. All I'm going to do is limit it to 3 tons, and then I'm going to place this little weight plate below it here. This weight plate will just detect the oxalate, I believe, falls down here. So this weight plate will detect if there's less than 80 kilos. If there's less than 80 kilos, it'll turn this on. But this auto sweeper is going to keep sweeping it into this bin until we have 3 tons. So we should end up with 3 tons and 80 kilos. Well, that's the plan. We'll see what happens. Oh, and I want to store some gold nearby. 500 kilos of gold should be more than enough. Okay, so there it starts kicking off, and... Oh, did I misplace that? I think I misplaced that plot. Yep. That's where that automation sensor needs to be. It's been a while since I built one of these, okay? We'll deconstruct that. This should be fine. What's not fine is I forgot to fill the liquid lock, but yeah, that was quickly being taken care of. I've got a little automated liquid lock filler going on. Hydro sensor detects if it's less than 150 kilos. That's hooked up to this shutoff over here. I've left in most of the shutoffs for all of those many liquid locks I built. It's turning out to be very convenient. I'm going to use this to fill my rockets as well. So that'll fill that up, and that should hopefully... Oh, I better sweep that up, or that gold is going to interfere with our little plans. Yeah, how much is that? Ooh, that's measuring quite a bit. Let's change the automation wiring anyway. There we go. There, nice clean system. I'll just skip this forward a bit until we're ready to do petroleum. Oh, I'm going to have to demolish the steam rocket. I've placed it just a little bit too close to the ceiling. As you can see there, I can't fit in another module on there, so I'm going to have to go down at least one. I think I'll drag it down, yeah, just one more tile, and I'll replace it all with a petroleum rocket. Now, while that's going on, what did I decide to call this again? I can't remember. Space escalator. But there was a couple of suggestions for names in the comments, so let's see which ones you prefer. One from Rakelsier was the Fancy Pants Mobility Tunnel. So that's one option, and the other option is from Command Line, and it's called the Umbilical. And that's umbilical all in capital letters. So your choice, Fancy Pants Mobility Tunnel or the Umbilical. Go for it. Whichever one you consider the best or the most trollish. I don't know, whichever. Now, we'll just get this together, and I'm going to have to demolish this whole rocket, unfortunately, which is kind of an annoyance, but I need to get this. I need to fit in the correct amount of modules. Kind of sad to see the steam rocket go. It did have a few good missions in it. Oh, and star map wise, how are we doing? Yeah, I think I've been analyzing the planets out as I go. There's nothing too crazy out here, but what did I see? Yeah, there was a chlorine planet. I haven't seen these before. Stocks chlorine and bleachstone if you're looking for such things. There's the normal organic mass, carbon asteroid, organic mass, shattered planet. I have no idea. I can't wait until I send the research ship out there. Well, that'll be a while. First, I've got to research the metallic, 2 satellites, and a rocky just to get enough research points to get us to where we want to be. Now, petroleum rocket time. Achoo! Ooh, excuse me. And there we go. Petroleum rocket completed. Now, as for why Ricky Vestal wanted a sneeze transition for a petroleum rocket construction, I have no idea, but there you go, Ricky. I hope it was everything you hoped for. Now, that's all done. We've started stocking this up with Oxylite. All I did was I went onto the rocket calculator and figured out how much we needed to get to the second planet. We want to get to this one so that we can do research on that. Then we're going to reconfigure for the satellites. This is the rocket calculator site if you haven't seen it before. Petroleum rocket, 5 research modules, Oxylite, distance to planet 2000, and then it tells me exactly how much petroleum and oxylite I'm going to need. For each kilo of liquid fuel, you're going to need 1 kilo of oxidizer to go with it, just so, something to burn and the oxygen to actually provide the combustion. For some bizarre and annoying reason, my duplicants keep picking up oxylite and dumping it into the rocket, where it immediately falls out because the rocket's at full capacity. Why, I have no idea. I'm just going to reload the game and hope that problem goes away. Well, that seemed to fix the issue. A quick reload. Happens sometimes. The game's not perfect just yet, but they are working on it. Now, who are we going to put into our rocket? One small step for Dupe is currently finished on the whole rocketry system. He's up to rocket navigation. His athletics are just below. He's 4 short of maximum, but you know what? They'll be spending most of it sitting in a rocket silo for the rest of their lives. So, maybe if they're not the fastest, that will be fine. So we'll just assign one small step. They can have that rocket for themselves. And in the interim, we're just going to demolish all of these, these gantries. We have astronaut on board. All the pre-flight checks have been complete. The only thing left to do is open the doors and select a destination. So let's crank those open. Oh, and I better make sure I reassign this to the correct rocket. Yeah, the rocket changes. Every time you demolish the command capsule, the rocket changes. The rocket name changes. Now, everything's stocked up. We got 569, 569. Let's head out. For this one, we're going straight to the metallic asteroid. Oh, on these ones, I've got nothing very useful. I've got isoresin, and I've got nobidium and isoresin. What I'm really looking for is fullerene, because fullerene will allow me to produce supercoolant, and supercoolant is what you really need if you want to get liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. Did I accidentally cook those? No, it's fine. And there we go. Done, dusted, that's the rocket gone. That will bring us back enough, about 600 research or 300 research points. Ooh, which reminds me, I need to change this back. I've been letting this research cryofuel combustion so I can knock out the non-space version ones. You'll see the way there's 70 and 100 of the non-space ones. I want to let my duplicate knock those out now while they've got the time. But I still want to make sure that when the time comes, the first thing I research is the cargo because I want to be able to get immediately into fullerene when it becomes available. Without fullerene, I can't do supercoolant. That rocket, of course, is going to take its sweet time doing all of that work. So why not just build a second one while we're waiting? And abracadabra, we're done. Second rocket complete. All I got to do now is finish up the automation on this and we'll be good to go. Oh, yeah, I'm probably going to want power as well, aren't I? What have we got? No, I don't want to use lead. Do not use lead up here. Don't even think about using lead up here. We'll put steel. Steel is fine. We have quite a bit of steel running around the place. Oh, that also reminds me, where was it? Down here. Yeah, I don't think I have enough batteries. I'm starting to actually get power brownouts. Turns out I don't have enough batteries in play. So let's add a few of those, shall we? That should hopefully help out. For some reason, I am consuming an absolutely gargantuan amount of power. I have no idea how I'm consuming that much. Okay, maybe I have a small idea. But that is a lot of power I'm consuming. How can you be consuming over 10 kilowatts, like 15 kilowatts of power at times? What is going on? You know what? I will worry about that later. For the time being, I'll get in some batteries to help smooth out the flow. Then, right after I get this petroleum rocket launched, I think we're going to have to start getting into a second petroleum boiler just to get our power requirements under control. Anyway, our space scanner for the return trip is not here yet, but that doesn't mean we can't launch it. We've got everything selected. And yes, I just want to send it straight out to this satellite planet out here. The reason I'm sending it to this one is it has two options that could potentially be niobium, and it's got the highest steel content. If it's got good steel content, I'll probably want more steel. I know I have what looks like a lot of steel right now, but for some reason I believe that's going to run out at some point. Now that's okay, so we now have two rockets that should be going out and getting us research points. That should allow us to hammer out the last of the research. And once this is completed, I can make sure that when that returns, it won't smash my bunker doors. Anyway, I'm just going to skip this forward a bit until we got some more of this done. While the rockets are away, I just thought I'd cover one of the bulk of things I did in the background while in between rocket launches. One of them was I ripped out all the atmosuit docks here that were made of lead. I was starting to get overheats here on the entrance because it's getting pretty warm outside. So it was getting over 50 degrees here and the atmosuit checkpoint was starting to overheat. So that's why when I stuck in the second layer, I shut this one down temporarily, ripped it all out and replaced it with copper docks so that they can overheat at 75C instead. Replaced in a mini liquid pump here instead of a proper sized or a large sized one, just so we could take care of any accidents that happen in the suits. All drops down there and get whips off into the uh, into our sewer system where it gets sieved and sent back into the toilets. At the same time, I installed these mesh tiles. There's a reason for that. When I was draining the sea from above, some of the water actually poured in here, got in there, fell down, and got pumped into my sewage system. So then I had a little bit of seawater that got in here. That seawater then ended up getting dropped off into my liquid tank, which then get pumped into my electrolyzer setup. I ended up with some seawater in here that damaged my electrolyzers and then just popped out on the ground. Yeah, that was just one of the many, many little treats that Oxygen Not Included had in store for me that day. I also decommissioned a bunch of the old stone hatch farms. I didn't need them once I got the slicksters up and running. The slicksters, once they took over, I just I stopped I disabled these critter drop-offs so that no more hatches were brought back in here, and then just let them, die of old age eventually. I've disabled the harvesting of a lot of the plants as well because I don't need branches or trees or anything anymore, though I do want to continue harvesting these. Seeds-wise, I'm up to 95 arbor acorns because I keep demolishing these, letting the pips replant them. They grow, and then the pips rummage through them to get another seed. It's just a nice way of getting your hands on more and more seeds. Maybe I'm going to make a forest later. I'm not quite sure what I've decided on just yet. Oh, that reminds me, I'm also going to have to upgrade my cooking facilities, but not until I get my hands on sleet wheat, and I can't get my hands on sleet wheat until I get space and a few other things. I built in this. I moved the evolution chamber for the molten larvae. The reason being they are born just way, way, way too hot. They're born at about 160 something C, and they were going to boil the water in the other area. So instead, I just moved it over here. I probably could have made it more conveniently placed over here or something just to make sure that one auto sweeper could handle it all. But I was in a rush. I wanted to get rocketry done. But that's that all done. Next up, oh, research. We are back on solid cargo. We were just waiting for that rocket to come back with the prerequisite data banks. Star map wise, we're still studying the stars all the way out, and there's two new planet types I found. One is an oxidized planet, which contains rust and carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide would appear to be in solid state because it's recommending a cargo bay, so I presume that's frozen stuff you're going to get back. Helium giant, we've got liquid cargo tank, and for why would you want a liquid cargo tank for hydrogen? And a liquid cargo tank for water, but niobium is solid. If you sent out a cargo module here, you're going to get only solid cargo. Assuming those things are also solid, you could just get mostly niobium. That would be an awful. Please do not have abyssalite there. Please do not have abyssalite there. I could just score almost 2 tons of niobium. Anyway, what was the next bit? Nope. All done. Oh, that was it. The petroleum down the bottom of the map, or the crude oil. This crude oil down here is slowly going down. The reason being, I do have 3 oil wells feeding into it, but they don't produce exactly 10 kilos per second. The reason being, they do have to be vented, and when they're vented, they're not going to be producing oil during that time, which means you end up producing slightly less than 10 kilos per second. And my petroleum boiler is burning off 10 kilos per second. So I really do need to put a little bit of flow control here, maybe stick on a valve to limit this to about 9.5, and then up it to 10 kilos depending on how the liquid pressure is down below. But that can all wait. I really, really, really want to get the research done on this because I want to get liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen up and running. And also one thing I want to get my hands on is, where is it? Yes, sleet wheat grain. I can get sleet wheat grain from this planet and we can start doing wild sleet wheat grain. I want to do a giant, large wild farm using the pips to plant it all. Assuming they haven't died, what temperature can they survive to? I should check that. I think it's 70C. Yeah, they can survive up to 70C. And my base is, well, it's warm. It's not too toasty. I mean, it's 38 degrees in the core, 38 to 40 degrees. So, yeah, no one really minds that much. It's a nice orangey hue. Though, why is it so cold over that side? Huh. Who knows? Anyway, yeah, I'll skip this forward a bit and we'll cut back in when the petroleum rockets have returned and we have more information on what's happening. Oh, petroleum rockets already back. In that case, what does the star map show us on the planet it explored? Fullerene, yes. That means I need to start doing a cargo ship to head out there the moment I get access to cargo modules. And this rocket needs to be reconfigured to head out to, well, satellite number 2. That's pretty simple. We just go and... Oh, what did you just do? Oh, it demolished those. Did I... No? That goes all the way back to there, and you should have detected it. You were set to an Ego Montoya. And why is that not completed? Okay, I think the game is spazzing out again. I think I'm going to have to do another reload. One moment. Yeah, Ted here is one of my dog's buddies. And because of the way the priority systems work out, repair is one of those things that doesn't fall under construction for some reason. Yeah, so they still haven't managed to repair that. Despite being at that most of the day and gaining a level in construction, I'm pretty sure they still couldn't manage it. That is just so frustrating. Who's going to come along now? Barry. Barry, what's your skill at construction? 0. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, let's hope Barry gets to do the other door. Anyway, it's okay. We'll just open the doors while they're broken. It just takes a little bit longer. And there we go. We're ready to launch. So let's see what's the next planet on offer. I think it'll be, yep, satellite number 2 is the plan, launch mission. Now, while that's off, let's check on our research. Oh, no, actually, close the doors first. That would be a plan. Research, that's almost done. Once we have solid cargo, we're going to put in another rocket, probably over here somewhere, petroleum, and we're going to send it on a mission to bring back some fullerene from our metallic asteroid. Excellent. This is going to help us an awful lot. Right here is a little thing that catches a lot of people, and you won't know what it is because it just seems, it's one of those things you'll never think about. This is the ability to make cargo bays. Now, when you get to make cargo bays, you have to make them out of steel, but you have a secondary resource you have to make them out of. My one defaulted to granite. That's a bad idea. The reason being, if you look at this cargo bay, it says overheat temperature 2215. You think you're safe. That's great. That's wonderful. However, it is made of granite. So its melting point is 670 degrees, well, 668.9. This means if it heats up to that temperature, the cargo bay will physically melt. Yeah, have you ever seen those things where cargo bays just magically disappear off your rocket? That's because when it landed, the rocket exhaust heated up the cargo bay. The cargo bay overheated and then melted. That's what got you. Yeah, wonderful stuff. Just make them out of obsidian. Obsidian has an overheat temperature of 2000 something ridiculous, so you don't have to care. Make your cargo modules out of obsidian and they'll never melt on you. I've managed to finish the petroleum cargo rocket. It's got everything it needs to get to the location, except for one little minor thing. Yeah, a crew member. I've been looking at the skills. The closest one is Turner, and they're almost got rocketry. Well, rocket navigation, which will decrease the cost, which will allow them to reach the planet. However, they're just shy of the skill points necessary. I could reskill another dupe. I just don't want to. I think we're good enough for the time being. So I think it's time to start on the petroleum boiler in the background. I'm going to need a second one. I obviously do because I'm running out of power. I need to, well, not so much that I'm running out of power as I need to stabilize the flow. My batteries keep draining and I keep getting brownouts because I get spikes in power demand, probably due to my extensive transit tube access network. Each time one of my duplicants use this, it costs me 10 kilos of petroleum and power. To put that in petroleum numbers, that's a lot of petroleum. That's a whole second's worth of production of petroleum. And when, they wake up and a dozen of them pile into the tube, it does cause a little bit of a drain. So, either really large battery banks, which, doable, or another petroleum boiler and just throw more petroleum generators out of it, which I'm thinking we have a couple of volcanoes right here. I'd like a couple of volcanoes because that would allow me to produce it much faster. I'll have to reroute some of the wiring that's going through here. My power grid is starting to look, yes, that's not horrible. That looks like a bit of spaghetti, but by and large, not the worst I've made. But yeah, I can reroute the power wires around here a little bit. That should be fine. Alright, so new petroleum boiler. So I got distracted again, and instead of starting off this petroleum boiler, I spent the last 4 cycles doing some other work. Namely, I tidied up all the piping in here just to make this a little bit cleaner. And I moved the overflow for this into a different location. I just did a few changes just to make things a little bit better. I also limited the flow on this to 9.7 kilos, just to make sure that the petroleum going through here is not going to drain my bottom crude oil tank just yet. At the same time, I went up to the rocketry section and I converted one of the research. What the? Why are that rocket? Oh, that's a graphical glitch. Yeah, it's definitely a graphical glitch. You are. Yes, that's the albino. I reloaded the game because this. Sometimes what'll happen is you'll reconfigure a rocket. For example, I demolished chunks of this rocket and turned it from a research rocket into a cargo rocket. And when I did that, it stopped showing up in the space scanner section when I put the module on. So I just reloaded the game. And for some reason now this is showing up. It doesn't make a difference. That rocket is still out and it's going to the satellite and it will be back in about 1.2 cycles. That's just a graphical glitch, I think. Anyway, these two are now both reconfigured for rockets. I've loaded this one up with Turner. I still haven't named the dupes. I'll have to go back to the video, the previous video, and find out who was the winners. Then we've got Lister assigned to this rocket, and both of them are ready to go. They should be fueled up and good to go, even though, yeah, there's still a graphical glitch with these liquid tanks and fuel tanks. They don't show up what's actually in them. So we'll just crank open the doors, and then we're going to launch these rockets and go get some cargo. We want fullerene. The reason being fullerene is so incredibly useful. 4 white horses, the albino, and you are set to an ego. Grant. That should get us all the fullerene we need. Well, not all the fullerene we need, but enough fullerene that we can have a decent crack at doing some liquid hydrogen and oxygen. Why? Why can you not reach the metallic asteroid? So, one of the rockets can make it, the second one can't. Time to do a bit of troubleshooting. Oops, did not have that set to 900 kilos. It was set to 800 and whatever. It was still limited from its previous run. That should fix it so that they're both, yeah, now both of them can make it. So you can head to the metallic asteroid and get us some fullerene. Thank you very much. You can also head to that metallic asteroid and get us some fullerene. Oh, and you're going to heat up that area down there. Oops. I should maybe turn that into a vacuum. first. Close the doors. Oh, yeah, another power brownout. Damn it. Ooh, and all of you needs to go. Now, when rockets launch, they have an exhaust that's 3 tiles wide, so it will be about 1, 2, 3, and it's 9 tiles deep. So everything in this area is going to be cooked. I need to vacuum it out or do something to stop that from happening. And there we go. That should quickly take care of the problem. I don't want to inject any more heat into there. So fullerene's good to go. No, now I definitely need to take care of my power problems. If you looked in, one moment. I shouldn't need to take care of my power problems. I should have power, so why are they unpowered? Why am I going to think I'm going to find melted lead wires? Yep, melted lead wires. This is going to keep getting me. I'm going to have to make all my wires out of steel just to stop this from happening all the time. I think it was the regolith. Some regolith probably fell down on them, and that regolith heated up the wires, and that's what caused this to happen. It doesn't matter. Quick fix. Quick fix. It'll be grand. I did some work in the background, and well, I also went to work at some point. On reload, these rockets appear to have well, glitched out as well. They're not technically here. They're still off on their mission to Metallic Asteroid to pick up some. What was it I wanted? Ah, yes, fullerene. So they're off to get their fullerene. This rocket here I've repurposed and sent back out for more research. That one, we've got enough. We should have enough research when that comes back to knock out cryofuel, which, oh, that would be great. You need, what was it, 1,600 research points? So 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18. We got 1,800 research, or we'll get 1,800 data banks out of this, and we only need 1,600 to get what we mainly need. The rest of them, which is liquid cargo tanks, gas canisters, sightseeing module, we don't need any of those. The biological cargo bay, though, we will use. So that one we'll get around to, but that can wait for a while. Now, I'm not going to immediately start getting into liquid oxygen and hydrogen. The reason being, it's just I need to take care of several smaller little problems that are accumulating. In this game, if you don't have your foundation solid, usually things topple over. And the main thing I need to worry about now is getting my power sorted out. So I need to do some work on that. And I never really went over this too in depth. This Oxylite refinery does off-gas oxygen, which pressurizes this room, but it has a tendency to keep heating up, and it usually overheats if you're not careful. That's why these metal tiles are here. For temperature shift plates, they're dumping the heat into this petroleum. So this petroleum that acts as a cool sink for when we were making steam for the steam turbines just ends up getting repurposed to help keep this place chill. It'll still get pretty warm, but it's not the worst. I've also put in a little stockpile here of petroleum just to help keep my rockets ready to go. Well, when these rockets come back with their fullerene, they're going out again. I want more fullerene. I want lots and lots of fullerene. Oh, don't forget the naming contest here. I believe it's between the fancy pants mobility tunnel and the umbilical, or the space escalator, whichever you want. Pick one and ham it up as much as you like. I'm going to demolish this whole area here as much as I possibly can. I don't have any mods for demolishing, say, the chandelier. That's got to stay. But I'm going to get rid of most of this building. It's more of an annoyance than anything else, in my opinion. I've also demolished all the remaining natural tiles except for these ones. I think there's some left in here and some abyssalite. Also over here, I'm going to brick off this whole area again and expose it to space. The reason being, these rockets are going to get really large. Having looked at the map and done some testing on the rocket calculator, yeah, I'm going to have to make some really excessively huge rockets to get out to some of these later planets, especially if I want to haul cargo. And there was one I missed. Where is it? The living planet. There's a living planet out here where you can pick up pips and arbor acorns if they're not present on your map. Very handy. Also, aluminum ore, just because aluminum's quite handy. Now, all that done, I did a little more tidying up here and limited the flow. And this is now a 9.75 or 9.75 kilos per second of crude going through here, just to give myself a little bit of a way for this to catch up occasionally. Added in way more batteries down here, but this still needs more work. I need to put in a petroleum generator. So what I'm going to do is get this down here, and I'm going to turn this into a lava tank or a magma tank. Then I'm going to make a petroleum generator probably off to the side here a bit. There's also plenty of oil wells around here. There's like 1, 2, 3. I could just get all of those, pour them into a tank, and we'd have the crude oil right beside the volcanoes. And last, on the home base front, I've reactivated a few of the stone hatch farms. Why is that showing us that's not ready? One moment. 96 tiles. What? Remove conflicting building. Hospital medical equipment. Okay, maybe you can't put hospital beds in there. That's a new one on me. Did not know that. Okay, fine. They can go. You learn something new every day. Hospital beds? You can put in like pretty much anything you want in there. Probably a power generator as well, but a hospital bed that causes a conflict. Okay. So yeah, I've reactivated a couple of these, and I'm going to feed them on igneous rock. The reason being, my calories have started going down. I'm pretty sure I was on about 4 million at some point. I'll have to double check the videos. Research is going on as normal. I haven't skill scrubbed anyone in a while, and training wise, ooh, several more dupes currently coming up through the ranks. I'll get the naming conventions on them done shortly. Now, the next video up is not going to be, unfortunately, liquid oxygen and hydrogen. It'll be me tidying up the last of all of this annoying stuff on the map. Getting in a second petroleum boiler. I'm going to tap into all the natural gas geysers. I'm then going to tap into all the cool steam vents and centralize all my water, decontaminate that water, have the excess water, instead of dumping it straight into reed fiber, I'm going to have the excess water dumped over into my clean water tank over here. I want to have all of my ducks in a row so that when I start in on liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, I can really just hammer it out. And has that come back? Oh, they have come back. Double check. Yes, they have returned. Let's check out what kind of cargo goodies we've got. So we've got 36 kilos of niobium, 1.7 kilos of fullerene. That's perfect. We don't need an awful lot of fullerene. If like 2-3 trips of all of these rockets should do, well, should give us all we need. Yeah, every single one of these cargo modules is going to have the exact same amount. When you go out to a planet, it's not in any way random. You get precisely the same with every cargo module every single time. We're just going to dump those on the ground, and I'm going to have to sweep those up, aren't I? Yeah, and I'm going to have to start getting around to a few other things. And, oh, yeah, we're going to send those off pretty much straight away. Rockets refueled, cargo removed, time to head off again. And that's pretty much going to be what I do with these two rockets. I'll probably send them on 2 more trips total. So long as I send them on 2 more trips total, that should give me more than enough to do a decent sized liquid oxygen and hydrogen setup. I really do want to do a very large liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen setup. The reason being, I have an awful lot of water on this map, and I'd rather use that water, well, to do an awful lot of rockets. Last time I did an awful lot of duplicants. I think this time we can try see how many rockets we can squeeze onto the map with the amount of water we have available, because we have a lot of water. That's why I also want to centralize all the water in this one tank, just to see how much we've got going on. And I've also got that ocean I can boil up for more water if I needs be. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this and it was at least mildly entertaining, and good luck.